Hi guys, welcome once again to MVP Life Empowerment. It's your girl Mo, and we have
I'm George.
Mr. Butting, aka Babe. What's up?
Yep.
I kept you up. It's like 1 a.m. or so, and my in-law behind the cameras. God bless you for the hard work that you're doing. So today we are going to have our mini Bible study as usual, and I will be grilling and asking Mr. Butting here questions, and he will give us his own opinion and intake and lessons and experience. So our topic today is about God's timing. Before I read the verse, when you hear God's timing, what is coming into your head?
God rules his own time.
Right, he does things in his own time. Why is it so hard for individuals and people to understand or to accept God's timing, like especially when there's delay in some areas of life?
It's human nature. We don't like delay, so it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just human nature.
Human
we
nature.
can understand how God does this.
Okay, so I'm gonna read and then we can get a little bit of what God says about his own time, because the scriptures are fashioned after God, right? Yes, spirit filled. So Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1, it says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. And then verse 2 says, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted. And there is a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up. What is this scripture saying to you? Would you like me to repeat it or?
It's like everything is done according to time. Just know the right moment and the right place to add and react. And definitely there is going to be a response, a feedback. So whatever you put out there, there is like an opposite reaction that you are going to get. You sow, you are going to reap. You plant, you are going to harvest. So by just know you are planting at the right time, when all the elements are okay, so that you can get the harvest. So you work according to time, just like God did, and then you get the right outcome.
Output. So what would you say to a person that feels like, I've planted, I've worked hard, I've done everything according to the times and seasons, right? And I've tried my best to be faithful, but I'm not seeing the fruit of my labor, or I'm not seeing the benefits of what I've worked so hard for. What would you say to that person? Because they're saying, like, if you're talking about season, I've planted in the right season, but nothing is coming out. I'm not getting a harvest, but I've planted in the right season, and for some reason things are just not working out for me. What would you say to that person? Because it's not like they're not checking the box. They are doing everything according to that season. They are planting, they are sowing, but they are just not seeing fruit.
There's time for everything. So if you are going according to all the principles that you have to apply, there should be an outcome. But unfortunately, there's always instances where you don't get the desired results that man expect after you have toiled and put in all the effort that needs to be. As believers, you don't give up. You just keep doing what you're doing, and just pray and seek the counsel of God. Hopefully, things will streamline in your favor. But just don't give up. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Pressing.
Just keep pushing, and I believe there's going to be a breakthrough along the way. All those years that you haven't seen that the goodness of God, all those years you haven't seen the harvest. I'm sure there's going to be a moment where they will all come together.
Where they will align, right? And I love it very much because I remember on Sunday when Bishop was preaching and he was saying sometimes we haven't been taught and programmed to deal with tough times. It's like you think automatically you become a Christian, everything's supposed to be great. Everything's supposed to work well. But he was saying you have to learn to know who is the light when the dark times come. Because that is when you can prove your faith, how strong you are. Like in the dark times, basically, that's when you're going to need to pass the test, right? So to say. So I love how when he was teaching, he was talking about you have to be girded up to be strong enough to be able to go through the seasons. And the Bible is talking about that there are seasons, right? Like I read, it says there's a time to be born. We celebrate when babies are born, right?
Yeah.
And then a time to die. We cry when people pass on, our loved ones. We miss them, right? And then it says there's a time to plant, like you mentioned. You plant, and then there's a time to pluck up that which you planted.
Yeah.
You sow, and then you harvest. But there are times when the farmer will sow, but then maybe the animals or something doesn't work well, and the crops that they plant, they don't grow up the way that they imagine. Maybe the crops are healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't get enough produce to resell. At that time, their business kind of goes down, right?
That's true.
So you can plan to do something, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to harvest it the way you imagine. That's what I'm getting from this. Am I wrong?
It's not. You don't get the way you harvest.
Okay.
That is not what the scripture is saying.
Please break it down further.
It says if there is time for everything.
Mm-hmm.
That whoever plant, there's going to be a time that you will harvest.
You'll harvest, yeah.
They didn't really
tell you if it's a good or bad harvest.
In this
okay.
Scenario, in this passage, it's just giving what happens. That's the time to be born,
mm-hmm.
the time to die.
Right.
Like it's everything is done according to the time, the season, the period that it is supposed to see its full glory.
Right.
So it didn't really give ifs and buts to it. It's more straightforward to sow, and then there will be a time where you will reap what you sow.
Mm-hmm.
We give birth to life, and
mm-hmm.
then at some point life is taken out of this planet.
On. Yeah.
Right. So these are things that happen to man. These are experiences that man goes through.
Right.
There are times that there is rain. There are times there is dry season.
Mm-hmm.
You can't take them out of life. So just bringing the awareness to life, awareness to the environment, things that are around us. That there is time for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you find yourself in one, just see. There's going to be a moment where you will find yourself in the other side of the season that you
mm-hmm.
haven't seen or you wish to be in. So just have that. Keep the faith, keep the hope alive, and keep moving, because whatever season you are in, whatever time period you find yourself, it will definitely switch.
Right. There's another side to the coin, right?
Yeah.
The coin has two sides. So it just depends whether you're on the head or the tail section.
Yeah.
All right. And then verse 3 says, there's a time to kill and a time to heal. There is a time to break down and there is a time to build up. 4, there is a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. There is a time to cast away stones and there is a time to gather stones together. There is a time to embrace and there is a time to refrain from embracing. I know that was a lot. The first one was time to kill and time to heal, and time to break down and time to build up. Time to weep, cry, and time to laugh.
It's still the same. It's like it goes in the same direction. Mm-hmm. Time, season, that there are moments in life, and whichever time period, whichever moment you find yourself, just have at the back of your mind that this period will never stay forever. There are instances in life that will force you or challenge you more than you have thought or imagined. So when those times come, just know that it's not going to stay forever. It will change too.
That this too shall pass.
Yeah. So you go through some period where everything works smoothly, everything works so fresh. Even things that you haven't done, it just works.
It just flows. Yeah.
Right. And there are times that you like the example you made earlier, you would go according to the principles, do everything that you have to do, but yet you don't see that fruitful outcome that you expect out, out of the situation that you are in. Just have that, yes.
Right.
And when they do, whichever period of life that you find yourself, it will pass too.
Okay, that's deep. And it's saying there's a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, meaning that there's going to be a time that you don't get what you want. There's going to be a time when you don't receive the things that you are expecting to have in those times, because the Bible is saying there's a time to get and there's a time to lose. So there are some seasons where you will also you will lose. So if someone is in a season right now where they are losing, they are not getting, they're in this season, because it's a pretty rough season to find yourself in, right? But we are reading from the word that these seasons, they will come. There are times that you're going to lose. There are times you're going to cry. To that person, what would you say? Because at that, like, normally when you're in that season, nothing really kind of gets to your heart. It's like you're just miserable.
It's like I said earlier, it's part of life. They happen to us all.
Everyone.
and it's just unfortunate when it happens to you and you are going through the situation. In the present situation, it seems
heartbreaking.
Like the whole world is against you. It seems like nothing seems to work, and everything seems dark. But just understand that period or that situation wouldn't last forever.
It's the flow of life.
That time change as the days change. Definitely, it will
circle back,
and then you will be free. You will see some laughter. You will see some joy. Yeah, like things will turn up.
It'll turn around.
Yeah,
I love that. And then verse 7 says, "There's a time to rend and a time to sue. There's a time to keep silence, and there's a time to speak. There is a time to love, and there is a time to hate." Deep. They say it's not. It should not be in your soul or your heart. But there are times that you will not like certain things or certain people, right?
Yeah.
And there's a time for war and a time for peace. We see it happening in the world. There are seasons where, some nations are in pure utter peace, and then before you know it, chaos is reigning everywhere. It's just the process of seasons, times, and how things are. And it says, verse 9 and 10, it says, "What profit has he that worketh in that which he labors? I have seen the travail which God has given to the sons of men, and exercised in it." Like, I've seen men toiling under the sun, and we all see it, and we are all part of it, where you work and work and work. You're trying to be the next goat. You're trying to be the next millionaire, the next billionaire. You're trying to acquire wealth and amass these great lineages and leave a legacy and all this stuff, right? It's things that mankind are constantly running after things to acquire more acquisitions, more things, more even at the expense of a relationship with God. People are going to all lengths basically to acquire wealth, things, materialistic stuff. It's not just wealth, but things in total, while neglecting God. So I feel like the Bible here is saying, I've seen a lot of men travail, right? And I've seen a lot of people labor and exercise for these things. But what mankind is not understanding is that everything happens in God's time.
Yeah.
That everything gets approved by God. So can you explain that to me?
I think you did the whole explanation. Like
A little bit further, like from your understanding.
um, we put ourselves out there, work, spend all our energy and time
Yeah.
working and working and working, not having time for God, not having time for things that need like that are precious to life, but we negate them, we forget about all of them, and put all our strength out there, but by the end of it all, it's like we lost everything.
Right. So I guess basically what it's saying is like let us always remember that seasons are in God's hands. The blessings, the good times, even the bad times, they are still held in the hands of God.
Yeah.
So as children of God, we must always go back to the Maker, go back to the Father and say, God, I'm in this season, but you said this too shall pass. You know, if it's a dark season, you're going to say, Father, show me mercy, show me grace.
Yeah.
And not give up and throw in the towel, because you've seen, like, especially in recent times, mankind have gone through so much turmoil and so much torture and difficult times that a lot of people are not able to continue living, right? Because it's just way too much, or they feel like, oh, they're at the end of the rope, right? So if there is somebody that is listening to this right now, what would be your words to that person as a form of just speaking to their mind, their heart, their soul, and spirit in relation to this scripture?
That there is always a time in the man's life where things turn around for good.
Yeah.
In Ghana, we used to say it's even if it's only a day left, a second left, God can turn things around for the good. So whatever circumstance, whatever situation you find yourself, no matter how hard, how lonely, and how difficult it is, just have that faith, just have that understanding, and have a belief that you can overcome.
Yes.
That is not the end of life.
Right.
I've heard stories where you sometimes feel like, yes, these people are going through it, but even as hard as it
The
is,
situation is.
just have a faith in God. Just have the belief in God that even if it's just a second before you are taken from this face of this earth, there's still a way for a miracle.
That God can turn it around.
There's still a way for laughter. There's still a way to be laughed. There's still a way to see the glory of God in your life, in the family, in the job, in every situation, every circumstance that you are going through.
Yeah. Well, guys, I hope this was a blessing to you. So we were studying Ecclesiastes chapter 3 from verse 1 to 10. Everything happens in God's time. So no matter what your season is, trust God, believe in God, and know that all things will work out for your good. For God remembers his own. God watches over his own. And like Mr. Boateng here, George Boateng, my husband, said, it will turn around for your good because we serve a faithful God. So no matter what season you are in, know that your God is alive. Remember, Jesus went on the cross and he was crucified, but resurrection happened so that we would have a second chance in whatever season we are living in. So there is hope in every situation. I hope you're blessed. Until we meet again on the next session. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.